Hey, I'm Trey and I have a new and sad story for you about another serial killer. This story reminds me of the movie Psycho. I think I just dated myself. So you might want to stick around to the end and hear the killer's confessions along with all the intentions he had for the murdered victims. Every day we make choices that can jeopardize our lives, whether it's going alone to the store at night or taking a different path home from work. If you're interested in listening to stories like these that remind you to remain vigilant when protecting yourself or your family, then hit the subscribe button. Also the notification button so you can be reminded of new content that I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Please leave your comments in the comment section about the video or the channel. I'd really appreciate your feedback. Well, if you're ready, let's get started. In 1926, in the country of Czechoslovakia, a young boy by the name of Stepnik was 16 years old and lived with his siblings and mother. This time he was babysitting his younger sister. His other two siblings were closer to his age but were not home at the time. Another neighborhood child by the name of Brzozowski was 5 years old and was also sent to be babysat and to keep Stepnik's younger sister company. With several hours of playing together, Brzozowski disappeared without a trace. The police and neighborhood came together to search for the child, but he was never found. There were no leads or witnesses to the disappearance, so it was believed that transient gypsies abducted the young boy. In January of 1936, a 13-year-old girl by the name of Ruzena Jabava was walking home from school when she encountered an unidentified man. That unidentified man was operating a bicycle facing Ruzena, heading in the opposite direction. When he eventually met in the middle, the man cried out and immediately began to act belligerent and speak in an incoherent manner. He began to babble a whole lot about nothing. Everything he said made absolutely no sense. The victim was terrified and did not know what to make of or understand what was even being said to her. Along with fearing for her life, Jabava did not know what to say or even how to react to this lunatic stranger. The only thing she could think of at the time was he must have mistaken her for someone else. The one thing that stood out to the victim was when he made the final statement, "Here you go." He then pulled out a handgun and shot the young girl in the chest. That man fled in an unknown direction. The child was left for dead until a passerby observed her unconscious body on the side of the road and rendered assistance. Just 13 days later, a 26-year-old woman by the name of Zdenka Danoba was riding her bicycle to meet up with her husband when a strange man approached her and knocked her to the ground. The stranger began to swear at her in an incoherent manner. Aside from the fact that the man was not known to her, the woman assumed that the man was crazy because nothing he said made any sense at all. She didn't know what to say or how to even react to appease this belligerent man. The stranger then pulled out a handgun and pointed it at Drobna. Drobna tried to swat the weapon away from her direction, and that's when the gun went off and a round struck her in the stomach. The belligerent, crazy man then pulled out a hatchet and raised it in a manner preparing to chop her with it. Luckily, a man that was passing by noticed what was happening and scared the attacker off. The stranger fled on foot in an unknown direction. In both instances, the victims were unable to give an accurate description of the attack. The only description given by the man was that he looked as if he suffered from smallpox and had a drooping left corner of his mouth. Smallpox is a virus that is contracted by contact with an infected person. A person who is typically affected breaks out in red spots all over the body and also inside of the mouth. These red spots then become filled with a white type milky substance. In most cases it's not fatal, but 30% of the time it is. During the time of these attacks, smallpox was not curable. Now it has been eradicated and they also have vaccinations to prevent it from spreading. In April of 1936, a 40-year-old dairy farmer by the name of Francesca Travoskit turned up missing. She would produce milk from her farm and would sell and deliver to the local community. This particular day, Francesca made a delivery at Stepnik's house. Stepnik's mother would usually meet with her and would pay her whatever the bill was due at that time. She just so happened to have been admitted to the hospital for surgery that day, so Stepnik was asked by the authorities if he had saw Francesca. He responded by telling the authorities that no one was home all day. His siblings were grown and no longer resided there. Stepnik was at church most of the day, then he came home for a nap. The police had no leads or witnesses at the time, so the case remained unsolved. 1 month later, Stepnik's mother felt bad that her son was home all alone and didn't have a home-cooked meal ready for him. She arranged for her sister, Anna, to deliver some food to her nephew. Anna was too busy to make the delivery herself, so she had her daughter deliver the food. Fearing that her nephew was a nexus to several missing persons, she did not trust him around her daughter. Anna sent her daughter, Jarina, to deliver food to Stepnick's home with explicit instructions not to enter the residence. You should know that children never listen to what you tell them. She believed that her daughter would be safe from anything if she were to stay in the open where she would be seen by others. Several hours later, Anna became nervous because her daughter hadn't returned home from delivering the food. Anna responded to Stepnick's home and spoke with him personally. He stated that she arrived early at his house but left. During his explanation, he went ranting on about something that was unintelligible. In addition to Anna not understanding what he was saying, she noticed that the lunch bag that was given to her daughter to deliver the food was laying in the grass in front of the house. That same lunch bag was found to have blood on it. Anna went into the back door of the house through the basement and observed her daughter on the basement floor murdered. Jarina's body was completely naked and she had been killed by a gunshot wound to the left eye. Anna then approached Stepnick about her daughter, which is his cousin, and before she can speak, Stepnick took off running out the back door. A short distance away, Stepnick attempted to hang himself to a tree. A stranger noticed this and cut him down before he killed himself. Stepnick was taken into custody by the authorities and he confessed to all the missing persons who happened to be homicide victims. Stepnick confessed that when he was 16 years old, he killed the 5-year-old boy by the name of Brzozowski that he was babysitting by bashing his head in with a hammer until his skull actually caved in and fell apart. Sick. When asked why he did this, he responded that this was done because he was annoyed with the child. How do you become annoyed with a child that's not yours? Just send them home, but don't kill them. Then he explained how he attacked the 2 women by the names of Jababa and Drobna at separate occasions riding bicycles. He shot one in the chest and one in the stomach, but both survived. Stepnick then went on to confess killing the milk delivery woman by the name of Francesca. This story is pretty brutal, but he explained in detail what he did to her. As soon as Francesca was inside of Stepnick's home, he shot her in the left eye. She was still alive and barely conscious when he drugged the woman to his basement. Stepnick then took an axe and chopped into the woman's skull, killing her. No, it gets better. Then he cut open her stomach and removed all of its contents. Then the killer cut off the breasts and several pieces of skin from her head. It was believed that he cut off the skin to keep the woman's face as a souvenir, but the cuts to the face were done improperly. When the killer was done with this sick science experiment on the victim, he chopped the body into 11 pieces and buried her in the rear yard along with the milk jugs that she intended on delivering to him. Stepnick would encounter the daughter of the victim from time to time because she took over the deliveries of the milk to his home. Stepnick admitted that he had plans on killing her daughter as well. He asked the girl one day if she heard anything from her missing mother lately. The girl replied no. He responded, "I wouldn't worry about it, you'll be seeing her soon." Stepnick confessed to killing his cousin along with his intentions for her. Stepnick had intentions on mutilating Jarina's body by cutting her breasts off and chopping the body up in his bathtub. Stepnick also produced a pre-written letter in which he turned over to the police explaining what he intended to do to his cousin's body. Unfortunately, his aunt didn't make it in time to save Jarina's life, but fortunately, Anna interrupted her nephew Stepnick before he could begin mutilating her daughter's body. Police dug up the rear yard and found both bodies of the 5-year-old boy by the name of Brzozowski, murdered 10 years prior, and the milk lady named Francesca. Anna informed the authorities that the reason why she felt uncomfortable with sending her daughter to deliver the food to Stepnick's home because she knew that he was diagnosed with psychological issues. Stepnick's mother knew this because she had him evaluated by a doctor years earlier when he was a small child. Stepnick's mother was told then that these issues need to be addressed before they become a serious problem. Stepnick's mother tried to cover this up because she didn't want to acknowledge that her son had a psychological defect or his need for psychiatric care. For years, Stepnick would terrorize the local community children and young adults by attacking and threatening them. He made many enemies and was extremely disliked throughout the community. Stepnick's mother would always mediate or make amends with everyone. The police believed that Stepnick was responsible for at least 2 additional murders. Both homicide victims were last seen alive in the presence of Stepnick. Since the police did not have any witnesses or evidence, he wasn't charged for either. Stepnick was charged with 3 murders and 2 attempted murders. He went to trial and was found guilty on all counts. Stepnick was given the death sentence and was executed in November of 1938 by hanging. Well, I hope you enjoyed this story. If so, hit the like button, subscribe, and also notification button so you can be reminded of new content that I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Also, I'd appreciate it if you leave your comments in the comment section because I'm always interested in what you have to say. God bless you and stay safe.